Oh, finally. It was 2 games, right? Like, I'm spoiled. I know that I'm being weird, and I understand that I'm spoiled as a Vegas Golden Knights fan in general, but also the fact that I'm complaining about losing 2 games in a row. Like, seriously. If you didn't hear my rant last video, watch that video. But no, the main reason I am so frustrated is because Vegas's offense just dried up, and it's not like I'm used to Vegas's offense drying up at some point and then just poof, being gone. And it was against 2 teams that weren't in the playoffs. Say what you will about the Rangers, but they have sucked so far this season. No idea why, and they're starting to put it together again. But if they drop off a cliff, then that game looks worse, right? Even if it is against a Vezina caliber goalie. But speaking of Vezina caliber goalies, okay, first, Fleury, he didn't play tonight because he played yesterday in San Jose. I have to have it up like this though, because like this is his last time in the Fortress, right? And so for the sake of, you know, my Wild jersey being a Fleury jersey, and this probably being one of the last times I'm gonna be able to have it like this in a video, I'm doing it like that. The Minnesota logo, I'll put it up for like the thumbnail, but that's pretty much it. We faced Philip Gustafsson, who is having a phenomenal season. So it was like, okay, Sorokin, you know, he was like super elite and then has kind of dropped off, but like he still shows signs of that eliteness. And then Shesterkin, obviously, and then Gus, who's just, you know, the Gus bust, just so it was really like, oh, Vegas could totally get goalied again, and it would be understandable, but I would still have been probably livid today. And for the first part, that's exactly what it looked like, because for the first 2 periods, the Vegas Golden Knights got goalied. They outplayed the Minnesota Wild for a massive all of the second period, which is, you know, just fantastic, especially because we didn't get a 5-on-5 goal. We only got 1 goal, and it was on the power play, which I'm not going to complain about. It was a 5-on-3 for 1 minute and 56 seconds because of a delay of game goal from Minnesota after, you know, they went to the power penalty kill. And that's just great, right? You know, that it took Vegas going on to a 5-on-3, and then shortly after that 5-on-3 expired is when Pavel Dorofeyev ties the lead for Vegas Golden Knights goal scorers with his 15th of the season, and he gets one on the power play. It was a really good play, but that usually happens when you're facing 2 less people on the ice from the other team. I'm switching this back now, but I'll take it. He tied the game at 1-1. Ryan Hartman scored after a brutal turnover from Vegas in the offensive end. Braden McNabb fumbled the puck, and Ryan Hartman went the other way. Shea Theodore played for the pass, and Ryan Hartman with a fantastic laser of a shot that went past Hill to open up the scoring for both teams 1-0, and then Pavel tied it 1-1. But in general, Adin Hill was solid tonight. I'm saying this now because even though we still have the entire third period to talk about, that's not really what happened in the third, was Adin Hill making spectacular saves. So Ryan Hartman is the one that flipped off Evander Kane. So Vegas Golden Knights fans like him, right? Just not when he scores against us, right? He had the fine, or it was the fine, and then somebody found his Venmo account, and there was a ton of people that donated money to his Venmo account to buy him a drink or whatever, that he then donated to charity because he wanted to pay the fine. And that was great, class act, Ryan Hartman, right? I say as he got, you know, fined for doing something in the NHL.
Isn't that ironic?
Who wouldn't want to pay $5,000 to flip off Evander Kane in live television? By the way, Evander Kane, I know he's injured. He just had surgery. Like, I wish him best in recovery. That's all I'm gonna say. But the main thing that was frustrating tonight up until the third period, which was a vintage Vegas Golden Knight third period, I might add, because, you know, yeah, fantastic stuff. The best third period team in the league, and Vegas continued to add to that tonight. Actually, speaking of that, last game against the Rangers was the first time the Vegas Golden Knights have entered the third period this season tied or ahead and lost the game, which is weird. injured. We're over halfway through the season. Like, that's just, it's great. It really puts into perspective how well this season has gone for Vegas so far, despite numerous injuries, including the already annual injury to Mark Stone that has already happened. So hopefully we can avoid that the rest of the year, right? Because that already happened this season. Yeah, speaking of injuries, Jack Eichel was out tonight with an illness. And so hopefully he's able to be back in the lineup soon. It's not day to day because it's an illness. So, you know, there's no weird thing that it might be for 3.5 weeks to a month because he's day to day. Nick Waugh back in the lineup is what that means. And Barbashev, you know, stayed in the lineup, so that's good. Keegan Kolesar early in this game ran into and slightly bored, like it was not good. David Jiricek he's a young player that Columbus drafted and then they traded to Minnesota because they just didn't want him, I guess. And yeah, anyway, that's a fun story for another time that isn't a game recap. And he went down the tunnel. He did return to the game. He returned to the bench at some point, but he didn't play that much later. He did end up playing in the third, I know for a fact. He played in the third because I heard him on the ice, but like I saw him on the ice, but I heard the announcers talk. Anyway, so Kolesar fought Marcus Foligno, which Marcus Foligno is actually an even trade, which might be offensive to some Wild fans that haven't been paying attention so far this season, but Kolesar has actually been really good at contributing offensively this year so far. And I expect that from Marcus Foligno as well when he's out on the ice. He does really well for the Wild in that role, and of being a physical tough guy, but also being able to contribute offensively, and that's what Kolesar has been able to do this season. Speaking of Kolesar contributing offensively, I'm really sorry if I'm talking too fast for you. Keegan Kolesar scores what would end up being the game-winning goal. Spoiler alert, because like I was saying earlier, the thing that was frustrating about tonight is Vegas kept having these shots on net, peppering Gus with shots, and they kept popping out. They were getting the rebounds, but they could not corral them to be able to put them again on net, which is really unfortunate. But hey, that's what I'm talking about, because Keegan Kolesar gets a rebound, buries it, and it makes it 2-1 Vegas. Fantastic. Finally, a rebound goal, something that I have been asking for like a lot of games now, and they finally got one, and it was an even strength goal, the first one in 3 games. I gotta love it. And after that, for the next like 10-ish minutes of the third period, Vegas just kind of was holding on, and you're like, man, Vegas really needs to get, you know, an insurance marker, at least 1, potentially 2, and hey, you know, yay, ask and ye shall receive, right? Happy Sunday, y'all. Really weird play, like in general. Like Olofsson gets it in, Hurdle gets it over to Dorofeyev, Dorofeyev gets it back to Hurdle, and there's like 3 Wild players that are circling around just jamming at that puck with their sticks, and Hurdle tries to shot, it comes back to him, and meanwhile Minnesota Wild players are just jamming at that puck, but it plops right in front of Hurdle with the Wild players going behind him, trying to go after the puck that was supposed to go with them, but it didn't. And Hurdle has a wide open shot and buries it past Gus to make it 3-1 Vegas with about 4 minutes left. And I breathed the biggest sigh of relief at that point because it was like, oh, okay. It was so good. 2 even strength goals. Fantastic. Tomas Hurdle, and he scored an even strength goal. He's been mostly scoring on the power play for us, so that was good. He had a really good night tonight, Tomas Hurdle, and so did Barbashev. I know Barbashev had a good night last night, especially in that opening shift and just all of his physical presence. And Hurdle was dominant on the faceoff dot last game. Fat low that did us because we still lost. But tonight they continued their good play the day after that, which is really, really fun to see that in the second half of a back-to-back, they're able to put together a performance like that after a grueling match against the Rangers, where they were putting forth, you know, that effort. And a lot of the goals that Vegas has had against them have been kind of because of lazy play, but like they were still out there working hard, playing in a professional sports league, and then the very next day able to put out similar effort against a team that was also on the second half of a back-to-back. Vegas sometimes gets benefits in scheduling that way. But Vegas isn't done. I alluded to it earlier with the second insurance marker from Pavel Dorofeyev to take the lead from Brett Howden and Ivan Barbashev for leading the team in goals with his 16th of the season jersey matching number. Fantastic. Vegas on the power play again. And there's a kind of a broken play where Minnesota's getting their sticks to the puck and they're knocking it loose, but Vegas is winning those puck battles. And it eventually creates this 2-on-1 with Stone and Dorofeyev entering the zone. Like Hurdle against the boards had a wild player drawn up, but anyway, there were two players. Stone passed over to Dorofeyev. Dorofeyev snipes it past Gus to make it 4-1. And Vegas would hold on the rest of the game, which was like 2 minutes, and they would win. Fantastic. Love to see it. 4 goals in a single game, that is exactly what I was asking for, even though 3 of them came in the third period. And you'd like to see them start a little bit better and on time and not have, you know, lazy plays that lead to turnovers, that lead to goals on the other end of the ice. But they won, and that was what I wanted against the Wild. It was good. Fleury was acknowledged by the Vegas Golden Knights, and that was cool to see. I really wish we would have been able to play against him in the Fortress one last time, see him on the ice for, you know, playing, but it didn't happen, and that's fine. He got to really, like, hand it to the Sharks yesterday, so I'll take it. The Wild are a good team this year, surprisingly. Like, I did not have them ranked this high in my season predictions, but it's cool to see them have one last push towards the playoffs in Fleury's final year, seeing the year that Kaprizov is having, and even though he was out tonight, we also had Eichel out tonight. It was great. It was great.
Say it one more time and I'll believe you.
It was great. We will be facing, potentially, Fleury one last time in March against the Wild. We have another game in Minnesota, so we'll see what happens there. Our next game is against a different former Vegas Golden Knight for the first time in his career on Tuesday against the Nashville Predators. And Vegas really should win this one. It should be fun. As long as Vegas doesn't lose. It'll be fun. But that's going to be it for Game 43's Nightly Review. Thank you so much for watching and have a good night. Did that sound like I was being disingenuous when I said that?
No. I believed you that you wanted him to recover well, and then I also believe that you're like, but I'm not hoping he does well in life or anything.
I'm okay with that.